Hi guys, it's sorry about that. If you hear any background noise, it's Zeus_Persesse's uncle. Today I will be reading the podfic Until the End of Time by time-VoidRealmer, and this is about 45,000 words in 9 chapters. And I'm going to be reading the first half of it because this is a really long chapter for me to do, especially when I'm already out of breath and it's nighttime. I am so sorry. I hope you guys are doing well. Summary. Harry Potter is the master of death and thus immortal. Every couple thousand years, he'll let himself reincarnate into a new dimension. This dimension is quite similar to his first one, except he has a twin brother. And Voldemort, in this world, is willing to give up everything he's worked for, as long as Harry teaches him magic. And Harry? Harry just likes annoying Voldemort with memes, vines, and Potter Puppet Pals. Notes. Hey guys, I'm not dead. I'm not going to update my other fanfic probably, but I have this new one for you. It's based off another fanfic I read recently. In case you can't tell, and let me tell you, it's going to be another direction. Harry is so powerful and old that he loves his brother so much, and we haven't gotten into that yet. Also, guys, I'm in a contest to need to hit 5,000 hits stat. Actually, not a big deal, but I'll tell you if I won when it's over. I can't wait till we get to the diary Horcrux because I have so much planned for Tom, and I actually feel sorry for him because of what I'm gonna do to him. See the end for more notes. Chapter 1. Things have gone wonderfully right, or horribly wrong. Voldemort. July 31, 1980. Look, James, twins! I can see them, Lily. They're beautiful. You love them. Me too, James. What should we name them? How about Daniel for this one? That sounds perfect. And you? He felt himself being cradled close to his mother, even if he was unable to open his eyes thanks to the sudden change in light into his newly born body. You will be my little Harry. Halloween, 1981. Lily knew Harry wasn't a normal child. In fact, he was already talking incoherent words at only over a year old and had been for a while. The baby also had begun walking much sooner than most children would, including his twin brother, Daniel. She knew the vibrant green of Harry's eyes shouldn't look as all-knowing or as old as they do. They shouldn't look so distant and cold when Harry zones out, but they do. She knew Harry shouldn't be able to do any form of magic, but that didn't stop him from summoning things across the room into his hand at a moment's notice, like he'd been doing it for years. To be completely honest, Harry scared her sometimes. Lily was aware he wasn't a normal baby, but they had gone into hiding and there was no way to figure out what exactly was wrong. She knew he wasn't a baby. Sometimes his dark green eyes that matched her own, but were still so different. She wondered if Harry was even human. But just like Lily had her worries about her son, she was still his mother. And for her, all the worrying she did, her love for the boy was unconditional. Harry got along with Daniel, who tried to follow Harry and be a second prodigy of the household. For the most part, Danny, with his fiery red hair and soft brown eyes, was a very quick learner. If Harry learned how to do something, Danny would know the next day. However, none of this explained why her little Harry was standing in front of her brother's crib, looking rightly determined to protect Danny from the threat in front of them. Harry was supposed to be sleeping soundly in his crib, like his twin, instead of facing against the darkest wizard of all time, Voldemort. Lily was petrified on the ground, unable to move nor say a word. She had been forgotten as soon as she's been beaten. Luckily not tortured, but she had a front row seat to the deaths of both her children. And was that not, in a way, its own torture? Lily would take 1,000 crucios if it meant that her kids would live. But her desperate plea to the heavens, Harry did not back down from the dark wizard. Not that it would help. However, it might save him from being tortured to death. The last thing she expected was for Harry to start speaking to the Dark Lord. time-VoidRealmer. Harry's voice was deep in tone. Not one she ever heard from him used before. His voice demanded attention and respect, radiating more power than she'd ever seen before. The Dark Lord, to Lily's utmost surprise, flinched at the name, pointing his wand at little Harry like the 1-year-old was a threat. How do you know that name, brat? The insane wizard didn't even wait for an answer, just shooting curses at the baby in rapid succession. Her child merely waved his hand, blocking out all the curses with a simple motion. She didn't even care how he did it, how he blocked all the curses. She was just so grateful, and she wanted to run over to him, both her children, and hold them and never let them go. Lily didn't care about the stupid prophecy destined to affect one of her children. She just wanted both her children to be safe and happy. Was that really too much to ask? Harry, her small son, only a baby, only glared at the Dark Lord as if he was nothing more than a nuisance. And Lily couldn't find it in her to be surprised anymore. More focused on how utterly grateful she was that Harry was alive, even when Harry started hissing. He gave the foul wizard the same look he gave James. When the boy's father was being incredibly stupid. She watched the Dark Lord hiss back, as if it physically pained him that he wasn't sending a curse instead, but not possible. Were they speaking Parseltongue? But how would Harry, her little Harry, know Parseltongue? Lily remembers the night, right then and there, that Harry had never been a normal baby. She vows to never forget it again. I will not allow you to harm my brother, Harry stated clearly, glaring threateningly at the Dark Lord he was so familiar with. Voldemort hissed back, how do you know how to speak in serpent tongue? Harry took a small step forward, as much as he could in his little body. The prophecy does not come true if you don't do anything, Riddle. It is self-fulfilled. What do you know about the prophecy? Harry wanted to sigh. For such a smart wizard, Tom could be incredibly stupid sometimes. It is not your concern, and I will kill you and all of your Horcruxes if you touch my brother. Voldemort hissed again. No words, just blatant hissing. Most likely a jumble of incoherent swear words and spells. Finally, after almost a minute of slipping over his own forked tongue, Voldemort regains his bearings, but not by much. How do you know all of this? And now Harry wanted to go back to sleep because it was tiring and completely unproductive for both of them. He yawned vaguely, answering in a small dull tone, if I tell you I'm a god, will you leave? Voldemort seemed to regard his answer for a few moments, leaving Harry to glare at him flatly while dealing with his indecisiveness. Eventually, not soon enough, in Harry's important opinion, the Dark Lord took a threatening step forward. Come with me. Harry stared at him incredulously. He couldn't be bothered to answer in Parseltongue. No, absolutely not. Why would I do something so stupid? Voldemort's anger spiked. Luckily for him, the Dark Lord wasn't as stupid as he could have been, which would have been attacking. Instead, he tried to salvage the situation. I will leave your family alone if you come with me. Harry, barely over a year old, raised a single eyebrow, pulling off the perfect doubtful face. You know what? Fine. I'll come with you however long you want, but you will leave my family alone. But touch my family, and you will pay. Voldemort didn't respond, only smirked at his triumph. Harry doubted he would heed to warning. The Dark Lord proceeded to hold his hand out for Harry to grab, most likely to his home or base or whatever. The child gave the hand an appalled glare, trotting right past and ignoring the wizard. Harry crouched in front of his mother, sending her a reassuring smile. I am leaving for a while, Mother. I know it pains you, but please do not search for me. Let Riddle do something drastic. Voldemort patiently cleared his throat, with which Harry responded by casting a non-verbal silencing charm on him. Danny is the chosen one of the prophecy, but please keep Albus away from him. That old coot has plans for my brother, plans to manipulate him into the perfect pawn. He expects Danny to have a certain attribute, a mark, if you will, that I have prevented. He will use my disappearance against you to further my brother, using an excuse for the greater good. If Daniel goes down this path, he will die. Harry paused, making sure his serious tone was understood. His mother's eyes were full of fear, but determination as well. As a precaution, I have made it so you cannot leak this information. If Dumbledore finds out, he will kill you. He will set it up so you are a casualty of the war. Furthering Daniel to act out the prophecy, try to avoid eye contact as he is a legilimist, and he has no problem prompting through your mind. Harry glared back to find Voldemort trying to counter the silencing spell, failing, and it was a mix of both annoyed and intrigued. I do not know when I will be back, but I will be going to Hogwarts with my brother, no matter Riddle's wishes. I'm where you know I'm not a normal child, if this conversation is anything to go by. But knowing something was off, you still love me unconditionally, and for that I thank you. When I return, I will tell you what I am, but for now, will ask for you to trust that I will be all right. Please reassure Dad that I am fine, along with Siri and Remy. Mooney misses you guys a lot, but feels he should have expected his friends to leave him. After all, who could trust a werewolf? Harry cocked his head to the side. Pettigrew was the real traitor, though you should know that. Seeing that he was the secret keeper. That reminds me, no matter what, do not let Sirius leave the house tonight. Once you learn that Pettigrew's betrayal, he will leave the house for revenge. Peter will escape and Sirius will be blamed for murdering multiple muggles and put in Azkaban without a trial. Contrary of Dumbledore. The child leans down and planting a kiss on his mother's forehead. I love you, along with Dad and Danny, and Sirius and Remy, too. Please, heed my warnings and be safe. Harry leans back, walking over to where Voldemort was impatiently waiting. A scowl on his face and arms crossed, Riddle gave up rather quickly on the curse, and Harry mused. He gives his mother one last glance, and one last thing. Snape is a terrible person, but make Dad get rid of the life debt. Harry takes Voldemort's hand as they part away. Away. Breaking the wards, Lily finds herself able to move again. The first thing she does after making sure her little Daniel was safe is break down on the floor and cry. She doesn't know if it's because of happiness that her children survived or it's from the sadness of losing one of her sons. By the end of the night, after dealing with everything, Lily thinks it was from both. Tell me how you know. Voldemort demanded as soon as they touched the ground, wherever they were, probably Riddle Manor, from the looks of it. They're in a fairly large room with dark green and cream-colored walls, and a couple of pictures of random items or places. There's a table surrounded by two couches and a singular rectangular chair, with both books and paper stacked on it. Around them there were several bookshelves, but from Harry's quick glance, it's nothing he hasn't read before. Instead of catering to the Dark Lord's every demand like everybody else, Harry, in all of his year-old glory, crosses his arms. No. Would it be a sarcastic no? You dare defy me, child? Voldemort all but screeched, reminding the boy faintly of someone he used to know, who may or may not go by the name Bellatrix Lestrange. Yeah, I do. Harry answered, seemingly raising an eyebrow at the elder wizard. There's no possible way for you to learn anything from me, no matter how you try, unless I willingly give you the information. Voldemort's eyes flared with a controlled anger. Obviously, I mistook you for someone smarter. Despite your puny money, you still will be begging to tell me everything you know within 2 minutes under the torture I will inflict upon you. Harry sighed, clearly not impressed. Well, do your worst. Voldemort paused, caught off guard by the boy's nonchalant attitude. Get on with it already, or are you gonna stand there all day? The child faked a yawn. Slightly wondering if a vein was going to pop in Voldemort's head like it did in the animes. Sadly, for Harry's curiosity, it didn't. Instead, the Dark Lord pointed his wand and yelled, Crucio! The spell fizzled out before it even touched Harry. What? But how? Tell me. Voldemort commanded the young child. Right, listen, Harry started, giving the elder wizard a bored look. I'm only telling you this now so you don't drive me insane pestering me about it. Not that it'll do you any good. Anyways, here's the deal. Are you listening? You are not in a position to make demands of me, child, Voldemort sneered. Harry only smirked, pulling it off quietly, only being 15 months old. But that's where you're wrong. The short version is, I'm the master of death, and I've conquered or killed you in a previous lifetime, rendering you unable to harm me, no matter how you may try. Though I am curious to see what you will try exactly. You'll try. Albus, what do we do? It had been over 2 years. 2 years and 2 months, to be precise, since little Harry had disappeared, and Albus was running out of ideas to try. He had never expected Tom to kidnap one of the children. Perhaps Tom was raising Harry as a minion, thinking that the Potters would never be able to hurt or kill their own child. Albus was more surprised that Voldemort was able to raise a child in the first place. Most likely he had some of his Death Eaters tasked with raising Harry. For Tom to raise a child, he would have to show restraint on his anger, lest he'd kill the child. More people had given up searching for the Potter twins, simply because it had been 2 years, but it was easy to assume the child was dead. Albus, however, knew differently. He had placed discreet spells on the 3 of the prophecy children, since he had no way of telling which the Dark Lord would choose until he did. In fact, he still did not know, but he would have to guess it was Harry, from the way things went. James was unhelpful in the confirmation since he was stunned downstairs during the attack. Lily, however, was an entirely different story. He said she had a perfect view of the whole ordeal, having been stunned in the doorway. She told Albus that she heard Harry say the name Tom Bavalo Riddle, and then start hissing but no. That would be impossible. For a child to know Voldemort's true name and speak Parseltongue nonetheless. Harry said they had spoken in that tongue for a while, and for some reason without Voldemort cursing the child even once. Even the very end, with another stunner, he partnered with Harry in his arms, which was the last anybody ever heard from Voldemort since then. Once they had disappeared, Sirius came bounding in, ready for revenge on Pettigrew, but Lily stopped him from leaving the house that night. All that added up somehow, but that was strange was how Lily did not seem to mind that her child was missing. She had seemed to not be frantic, worrying about his well-being like James, Sirius, and Remus. Lily had been rather insistent they apologize and rekindle their friendship with the werewolf. Rather, she took care of Daniel like nothing was wrong. Another thing was how she refused to show her memories in the pensieve. Lily said Voldemort must have messed with her head somehow, making her unable to show the conversation with anybody, which turned out truer than Albus would have liked. He would have learned that he would not watch the memories or discreet legitimacy. It was as if it was blocked off from the outside world, put into its own alchemisty shield. Albus never thought I've heard of magic like that, but he supposed Tom would be quite smart in some aspects. Sadly, not the right ones. What Albus found most strange was how Lily seemed to be avoiding him. She almost always finds an excuse to dodge and evade, no matter what the headmaster insisted. If there was one thing Gryffindors were known for, it was their stubborn personality. However, in avoiding him, she'd be discreet about it. Albus hadn't noticed it if he wasn't watching for it. He was rarely near Daniel without Lily around. He had matured very quickly for his age. Daniel could do little bursts of accidental magic almost at will, like summoning a toy from across the room. When he asked James about it, he said that Daniel always tried to copy Harry when he was there. Albus asked about Harry. James and Sirius both said that Harry had been a prodigy. He had been walking and talking even before that Halloween night, along with doing quite a bit of accidental magic. Albus asked carefully as to not arouse suspicion why he had never been told about Harry's talents, or at least not to the extent James had replied with a shrug. I guess we forgot to just mention it. Albus didn't believe that for 1 minute. Something deeper, darker was going on in that household, and he was going to find out what. It obviously had to do with Harry, who was now in the Dark Lord's clutches. What had Tom seen in the boy? Did he kidnap him because Harry could apparently speak Posseltongue? Was that enough reason itself? Because the boy's magic powers? How Harry had yelled Voldemort's real name, information not well known, or is it because he was a Potter and intended to raise him as a Death Eater? Well, think of something, my boy. Let us just hope Voldemort doesn't have done too much damage by the time we get him back. Albus hoped that was true. Harry had an important rule to live up to, and someone's youngest years are the most precisionable. 6 months into the kidnapping. Oi, Voldy, come here. Harry yelled in a different room, snickering under his breath. What do you want, you infernal child? Are you finally ready to tell me? Ah! Voldemort walked through the doorway, right into Harry's trap. Harry had put saran wrap in the door, which Voldemort ran right into. The most dark, evil, Dark Lord of their time. Fell on the floor, tangled in a product of his prank. After a few months of trying every possible torture method he could think of, Voldemort had given up on trying to use force to force him out of it. Realizing it was pointless, instead he would try to think of ways to annoy it out of Harry. Though the man denied to the minute back, saying it was tactical persuasion, Harry was for sure he would have tried being nice. If he weren't resident Dark Lord and didn't have a single nice bone in his body. The fact that he was doing small pranks didn't help. But to be fair, Harry only did the pranks when Voldemort tried to annoy the answers out of him, which was daily. Right now, though, Harry was laughing on the floor, clutching his stomach so hard, Harry was sure he was going to die from how hard he was laughing. Even while laughing, he found enough breath to say he needs some milk, sending the child onto another bout of laughter. Finally, after a few moments of flailing the saran wrap, Voldemort freed himself. Potter, I told you to crease these stupid pranks. Harry stood up, putting his hand on his And I told you to not annoy about information. Where did you even get this? This is a Muggle product. Harry shrugged, the fidgeting incoherence. I don't know. A grocery store? What is a grocery store? Wait, you never left the manor. My words would have told me. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Your words are useless against me. And of course, upon gaining new information, Voldemort whips out his handy-dandy Muggle notebook, and he carries it around to write any new information he learns about Harry. Harry hears him mutter under his breath, "Words are ineffective." He keeps the notebook open, glancing at Harry. And what does he mean by he needs some milk? What would he have to do with milk? Is there a spell that is connected to milk? Harry tries to hold back a laugh but fails. Right. I'm answering this only because it's the funniest thing I've ever heard, and you'll hate the answer. It's a Muggle vine. What is a vine? You don't mean those plants? What does that have to do with milk? Harry sighed. Vines are basically video clips that have been turned into memes by being popular. Potter? Huh? Harry glanced up just to see Voldemort scribbling down in the notebook. Yes? What are memes? 1 year and 4 months into the kidnapping. What book are you reading? Voldemort sat down in the chair across from Harry, opening his own book. They were in the library of the little manor, so Voldemort knew all the books here except for the one Harry had. He had learned by now that if he tries to take a sneak peek at Harry's books, even only the cover, Harry would vanish it into Merlin knows where. It would be hard to remember the boy was only 2.5 years old, considering his size and looks. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stones, American edition, Harry replied, flipping through the page nonchalantly. Voldemort's interest was piqued, and he kept his eyes on his own book. What? Really? What's it about? My first year at Hogwarts back in a different life. He risked a glance up. Can I read it? No. Voldemort looked back down at his own book, barely put off by the answer. He hadn't expected anything different in the first place. 1 year and 10 months into the kidnapping. Potter, what in the name of Merlin is that? Voldemort asked, or stated. It was a form of a question, but it didn't come out that way. Harry ignored him. The boy was lying on the floor in his room on his stomach, kicking his legs back and looking at a glowing screen. He had something in his ears that was blocking out sound to be plugged into the screen. Potter! Potter! Harry finally noticed the impatient Dark Lord glancing over, then taking things in his ears. What in the Merlin name is that? He asked again. Harry glanced up at the screen, tapping on it, then looked back over. I'd show you, but you really won't like it. Or maybe you would. I don't know. Is it those memes you told me about? This is worse. I doubt it could be worse than the time you snuck into my Death Eater and started ranting about a bunch of your vines. Voldemort put a hand on his hip, disbelief lacing his voice. Harry grimaced. I remember that. It was so fun. 2 of your Death Eaters started fighting under their breath while you were busy with something, and I started saying, "Can I get a waffle? Can I get a waffle?" I doubt half the people in there know what a waffle is. Yes, and nobody knew you were there either. There was just a voice talking about waffles. I think I gave at least 2 of them heart attacks. They were so on edge the rest of the meeting. Voldemort sighed. And you had the audacity to mutter things to my ear the rest of the time. One of them told me about the casualties of an attack, and then you whispered, when will we learn that your actions have consequences, in an increasingly high-pitched voice. Hey, it made you laugh. I know, and I regret it. Harry snickered at his pain. Anyways, this, he gestured to the electric thing, is definitely a lot worse. Is it magic? Voldemort questioned, looking suspicious, and rightfully so. Nope, it's Muggle technology. This is a tablet. Won't be created for another 2 or 3 decades if things stay the same. But that's not the point. Harry looked at Voldemort with a serious look in his eye. Are you sure you'll be able to handle it? If I know you know that you are aware of what Muggles are capable of out of anybody. The Dark Lord looked wary but determined. Show me. Harry would let him off the hook this time for ordering him a rad, because Voldemort was going to suffer enough anyways. Well, Voldy, he received Miss Mark. Get ready for Potter Puppet Pals. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoy this fic. I said it, like, chapter 1 of this fic. I said that I was going to only do one part of this first chapter, but apparently I had enough time. But this is all I'm going to be able to get in for tonight. I hope you all have a lovely day. I really need to think of what to call you guys, because I don't have a name for you viewers yet, even though there's not that many of you. But I will try to think of something. I hope you guys all have an amazing day, night, afternoon, wherever you might be in the world. Remember that someone will always love you and that you are safe. Always go to someone if you need help, even only though if you trust them. Goodbye, everyone.